going to record. All right, we are live on Facebook and we are recording. I'm John Mercer. I'm president of the Las Vegas Triathlon Club, and I've got Bob Gamble, co-host of this member spotlight. Hey, Bob, how's it going?
Hey, it's wonderful. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks.
You're looking happy, and you're looking good.
Yes, it's Wednesday. Boy, it's just another date ending in Y right now. That's all it is. So, and I am really looking forward to talking with our member spotlight tonight, Terri, and I'm going to try to say your last name correctly. Is it Buryanov?
That's pretty good.
I didn't even attempt that. So go ahead. Give us, how do you pronounce your name, Terri?
Buryanov.
Buryanov.
Oh, boy, I wasn't even close. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even say it right, actually, because it's Russian. It's really difficult.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, it's great to have you on. You are a new triathlete, but you have also quickly risen in the ranks to become a very top and high-level competitor. And so this is going to be fun to get to know your story and getting involved in triathlon and hear a little bit more about your biking achievements as well, which is pretty amazing. So thanks for joining us. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Bob to do an official kickoff for our member spotlight.
Well, as John mentioned, we have Terri Buryanov. Terri Buryanov with us tonight. And she is a new member as of the spring of 2019. And I guess, you know, we all hate you real bad because you started this and all of a sudden you're competitive, you're qualifying for, you know, races and, you know, championships and things. And, you know, you've already done in your first season a 70.3. And it's like, we're going to find out how you did that and what your background is. But so welcome. We're glad to have you here tonight. And I know that you have had you got started, you were cycling before you were a triathlete. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And what transitioned from cycling to doing the other two? How did that get started?
Well, I started cycling. A friend of mine kind of looped me into it about almost 3 years ago, actually. And yeah, so I love cycling, and then I started doing group rides with some triathletes, and they all tried to convince me to do a triathlon, and I'm like, no.
Come over to the dark side. Yes,
yeah.
you'll
so
enjoy
eventually I won. The reason why I made the switch and started doing triathlon was because I won a free month of coaching with Nancy Jones.
Ah.
And so that was 2 months before Sand Hollow. So I'm like, well, I may as well sign up and do my first sprint. And that was in 2018.
Oh, okay.
So I did the sprint triathlon. I got 4th in my age group. So I just missed that podium. But,
on your first one, I mean, most people say, I'm going to finish my first one, not get, you know, one step away from the podium.
Yeah, but I was, I didn't like it, and I swore I'm never doing another one. I was a terrible swimmer. It took all I had just to finish the swim without dying.
And that's a very common thing, and you know, I think most of us have gone through that. Yeah,
and then the bike was good. I passed a bunch of people on the bike, and then I got onto the run, and I'm like, it was like I was passing people on the run. I'm like, oh, you know, I'm so far behind. All these women are already ahead of me, so I kind of just like went really slow on the run because I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah. And if you would have pushed, you probably would have been on the podium in your first race.
Yeah, I was only like a minute behind or something.
Oh.
But I was fine. I came home and I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing any more. And then my friend Graham Harsh invited me to do the Boulder Relay 70.3 up in the summer of 2018. So I did it with his dad and his wife. And so like I started getting all those spammy Ironman emails after that. And one of them came and said that they're having an inaugural race in Traverse City, Michigan. And I was like, okay, if ever I'm going to do one, that's the one I have to do. So
why is that? Why Michigan?
So I grew up in northern Michigan.
Okay.
And my grandpa was 94 at the time. So and he lived in Traverse City. So I said, okay, if I'm going to do a race, I want my grandpa there to watch me.
Oh,
So
cool.
I signed up for it, and as soon as I signed up for it, I called my grandpa, and I'm like, Grandpa, I'm gonna do an Ironman in Traverse City. You're gonna come watch me. And I remember him asking me, he's like, is this something you think you can get top 10 in?
That you
And I'm
can
like,
get what?
top 10.
Okay.
And I'm like, Grandpa, I'm gonna get on the podium for you.
Well, at least you had the genes for it. If your grandpa is 94 and he's still spry,
Yeah.
you had a good head start.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I had about a year before the race. So I was like, well, I have time to figure it out. But I just stuck with the bike mostly. I still wasn't really like keen on swimming and running yet.
Mm.
And then he actually passed away in March before my race. So I'm like,
Oh.
okay. Well, he was a week before he turned 95. So he lived a really good life.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm just like, I'm just going to go do it, and I'll just go to finish and have fun. And then, so I just kind of put it on the side. I already paid for it. So I was like, I'll go and just have fun. And then I just like, okay, I'm going to stick with bike races again. And I had the goal of getting the Utah Triple Crank Award, which is the 3 toughest bike races in Utah. And it starts with the first one is Kokopelli Relay, which goes from Moab, Utah to St. George. It's about 525 miles, but you have to have a team. So you have that one. And then there's the Iron Lung Century up in Salt Lake. And then and finishes with Lodajaw, which is a 200-mile bike race from
My goodness.
Logan, Utah to Jackson, Wyoming.
And did you do the whole 200, or was that a relay?
No, I did the whole 200. I did that
No
one.
kidding.
So the first race, though, was the relay, and I put together a team of girls that I didn't really know. And so there was a little bit of drama out there. Needless to say, we didn't finish the race. So
Well, I hear a lot of times on those relays that can happen. It's not easy. So that's really impressive that you did a relay on your own for the 200. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So so with that Kokopelli relay, though, we didn't finish, which is my first and only DNF so far. And I came home a little bit more motivated, and I'm like, that's it. So one of the girls got sick, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to recover. And so I rode through the night, like did 140 something miles.
Oh, geez.
And like we just realized at some point that there's no way to finish it, because I was going to have to average 16 miles per hour with 8 hours left, and I still had over 6,000 feet of climbing to do. So I'm like, there's no way. So we took the loss and came home. And one of the girls on my team she trains with Denny Silva. And she called him up and she's like, you need to coach this girl because she's crazy. And
she's got some natural talent. We need to work on it, right?
Yeah. So he called me, and this was 2 months before my 70.3. And I agreed to start working with him because I was hungry. I was really disappointed in the DNF. So that's when I basically became a triathlete, was right then and there. And so I trained with him for 2 months and then went and did my 70.3 in Traverse City. And I got 4th place in my age group.
Oh, good deal.
And you qualified for Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were on target to go to New Zealand this year.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. So
hey, sometimes those breaks can let you. Sometimes those breaks can reset you and get your training on track. If you're overdoing it a little bit, you come back a lot stronger. So we'll see what happens next year.
I definitely overdid it because I was so gung-ho, let's go, let's do this and try to win all these races. And I didn't build a base. I just went hard right away. So it got me to qualify for Worlds. And then I did really well on like the local races after that to finish out the season. But then off season came, and like my first run on off season, I noticed like I had this twinge of pain in my hip. and it was like
Mm-hmm.
super unbearable. I couldn't run through it. So I spent the next 4 months recovering from that, no cycling or running, basically. And so it was a much needed rest.
That's right. And I mean, a lot of people go through that. I know I did. It's like, hey, this is cool. And you hit it hard and everything breaks. You just don't build the base up. So there are people who are going to watch this or who are watching it now who, it's smart people learn from their mistakes. Smarter people learn from other people's mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like people are going to see that you, as good as you are, needed to build a base. And you took the time to do it. So this is valuable if for nothing else for that.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get your swimming going? Because you didn't like swimming at first either.
That was just coaching with Denny. He was taking me to the pool like 5 days a week. We were swimming for an hour every day for 5 days a week, and it just inevitable. You're gonna figure it out, I guess. I'm still not a great swimmer.
I want to just go backwards here a little bit, because this is really interesting, because you did your sprint race because you got a free coaching set up, and you finished it and you had no desire to do another race. I really didn't catch how you then decided to do a 70.3, and what was that part? Like, what was it that you said, oh, this is going to, okay, I didn't enjoy the sprint so much, so maybe I need to go, 4 times longer.
Yeah. It was just because I got that email from Ironman that says they're having the inaugural race in Traverse City.
Oh, that's what it was, the email. Okay. But still, an email by itself, that's really impressive that you said, okay, this looks like a good challenge. But what I'm taking is you really look for these endurance challenges, these long bike rides,
Mm-hmm.
The relay rides.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you recently biked over 500 miles a week. Is that right?
Yeah, last week. That was just a cool idea for a YouTube video.
Oh, talk about that.
Oh, it was a lot of riding. So I decided, this last weekend was supposed to be the Saints to Sinners bike relay race.
Yep.
And I did that last year, but this year it was canceled because of COVID. So I had this genius idea to do the equivalent of mileage myself, but I gave myself a whole week to do it. So 522 miles. I did the first 2 days outside. And it's too hot.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Then I spent like the next 3 days the next 4 days on the trainer.
Wow.
Now, do you have an app?
Yes.
Do you have a Ruvi app or a Zwift or anything? How did you put those miles in on a trainer?
I use Ruvi.
Okay, good. All right, we'll have to talk about that, because I've been using Ruvi, and I love it. So
Yeah, I love it too. Yeah, I like it's more realistic than Zwift. I never really got the hang of Zwift.
Mm-hmm.
I just
right.
like to go on those long rides and not have to worry about. I think I did Zwift a few times, and you don't stick. I just don't feel like I stick with my plan when I'm there. Then you're like, oh, someone's passing you. You like can't let that happen.
I know. Yeah, and that's what's crazy about Ruvi. I don't know if people. This is a little bit of an aside, but we'll get back to that in a second. But on Ruvi, if someone's coming up behind you, you're not going to let them catch you. You're going to hold them off. So that's fun, and that's interesting that you could do 500 miles that way. That is crazy to do that on a trainer like that.
So you must have really enjoyed the 70.3.
The
Honestly,
distance, yeah.
I didn't at all. I was about halfway through the bike, and I was like, okay, this is really stupid. Like, why am I doing this? I'm never doing it again, because now I finished this, and now I have to go run 13 miles. Like, the whole time I was on the bike, I was like, what am I thinking? And then it was like, so I kind of like in my mind, I'm like, I'm never going to do this one again. So like I got on the run, and the race was over on the run. I was like hanging out, talking to people as we're running together, like having a good time. My pace was like crazy bad. Like I went from like an 8-minute mile up to 10 and then back down to 8. It was like all over the place, just depending on when I was talking to someone, I guess. But
So your unconscious, it seems like your unconscious was saying, okay, we're gonna keep going, we're gonna kill this, even though you're, on the surface you're saying, I don't like this.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's cool.
then I crossed the finish line and my family was there, had the phone and handed it to me. And all of a sudden, like my phone started blowing up. Holy smokes, you got third on your first one. And so like people were going crazy, but then a girl ended up beating my time. So I got bumped to fourth place.
That's
So,
top 5 in a race like that is fantastic. I mean,
yeah,
oh,
so
good Lord, yes.
I was like, oh, and I got those texts. So you got third on your first one. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do another one.
Right. I'm seeing a pattern here. This is great. So then you're during the race saying, you didn't want to do it. But then you finish, you qualify for Worlds, and right away you're signing up for another one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my sister was there at the awards ceremony, and I got the roll down.
Yeah.
The girls ahead of me didn't take it, so they had 2 spots for my age group.
That's awesome. Yeah.
They called my name, and I'm like, threw my hand up and said,
I'll do
it. And my sister's like, you were saying you didn't want to do another one. I'm like, oh well.
Well,
do you have anything planned for the rest of this year? Because there are 3 triathlons in October that have not been canceled yet, and I'm still kind of holding out. I guess St. George. John, you're doing St. George. Terri, do you have anything planned in case they work? They're not canceled for the rest of the year.
I haven't planned for anything just because I don't know. I just haven't. I did qualify for the nationals, the USA nationals, so the Olympic and sprint and duathlon.
mm-hmm.
I qualified for all those, and I guess they're supposed to be in Lake Havasu, so if that happens, then I'll do those.
Okay. Well, that's great. Well, you've been such a strong biker. I mean, that's where you came from, and obviously your biking endurance is fantastic. So as you've developed this triathlon success, where do you see your strength besides cycling? Where do you see yourself being strong in the race? Is it how's your swimming at this point, and how's your running?
Well, swimming, I'm sure, is probably pretty close back to 0.
Oh.
I've been out to the lake a few times, but it seems pretty slow. I can maintain under a 2-minute pace, but for me, like, that's decent.
Yep.
During my race, I did like 38 minutes
mm-hmm.
during the 70.3, and it was comfortable.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I probably am never going to try to push myself on the swim because I don't like it. I mean, I like swimming now. I absolutely love it, but I'm still not.
Well, okay. So, but now you have this pattern where you say you don't like something, and then next thing you're doing, you're signing up for some ultra endurance event. So maybe you got a 10K swim in you.
That's how I usually force myself to get good at something.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's great.
Yeah. There's no sense in keeping yourself comfortable.
What else have you learned? In going from your first triathlon to now you're actually competitive and qualifying. Anything on nutrition or on swimming? Any big aha moments for you?
I'm super nutty about my nutrition. That's, for me, I feel like that's 70% of your performance right there.
And that's telling, because you've got, your endurance is huge. It's fantastic.
Talk about
what can you help us with?
Let's hear a bit about your nutrition, because I do see some of your posts about eating dates and what have you. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I'm plant-based, so no animal products in my diet. I made this switch about 2.5 years ago, and the difference in my performance was super noticeable, not just to me, but people I was riding with were like, you're like so much stronger. Within a couple weeks, people started noticing like my endurance was improving. I was able to go harder more often. I would go out and try to ride with like pro cyclery on Saturdays, and after that ride, you're just dead for the rest of the week. But once I switched to plant-based, my recovery time was so much better that people started making fun of me that I don't do any recovery days. Like I was just going hard and fast all the time. So I have to really like force myself to step back and actually like take it easy once in a while.
Now, when you say no animal products, is that no milk or eggs? Or do you do milk and eggs?
Oh, you're cutting out. Is it my internet?
I don't know. I don't think it's mine.
Okay, yeah, it said my internet was unstable. I'll just open up my door.
Okay.
All right. What
So
did you?
the question I had was your nutrition, your diet. What don't you do? You eat milk and eggs, or you don't have those as just no animal products at all?
Zero animal products. So just basically plants.
Wow. How did you learn how to combine, you know, the proteins and all that to get the right nutrition? I understand that's difficult.
There was a little bit of a learning curve, but like all plants, it's just you have to make sure you get the 9 essential amino acids. So like when you eat meat, meat has the 9 essential amino acids that you have to eat to build the protein.
Right.
But as long as you're eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, you're going to get all those essential amino acids. And you don't have to have them all in every single meal. Your body knows how to store it and wait till it gets what it needs and it can build the protein.
And can you tell me what do you think is the reason that you are so much more, your endurance is better and you're stronger? What is the reason for that? I mean, and I'm not saying just not eating the animal products, but what about that is causing the difference?
I think it's the lack of inflammation, because like dairy is like one of the most inflammatory things you can eat. So your body has to work extra hard to digest it. So it's using your body's using a lot of energy to digest your food when you're eating animal products. And so that's less energy you can use when you're out there on the bike or running.
And you're saying the inflammation is bigger, is more pronounced with that? Yeah. With the animal products. Mm-hmm. John and I were talking about this a little bit before our talk with you about, you know, everything is going haywire on me. So we'll I'm going to, you know, take some of what you say, you know, to heart and give that a shot. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. I posted a video on YouTube of what I eat in a day. Okay. It's very easy. Like I don't spend a lot of time cooking and preparing food. It's just, and once you figure out what it is you need to eat, it's super easy.
Yes, between my knees, my elbow, my joints and everything, it's like I'm falling apart. So I'm definitely going to give it a try.
Awesome.
John?
No, I think, you know, having the right regular diet is so important. And, but talk about what you eat in 70.3 then.
I had dates and fig bars.
Wow.
And I made my own gels for that as well. So.
And what was in your gel?
Just, I blended up some dates with bananas and sea salt.
Yeah.
That was it.
Wow.
And I make my own electrolytes to drink as well.
Okay.
Just using salt, potassium?
Yeah, I use a calcium magnesium powder. I brew up green tea like the night before, and then I add calcium magnesium powder and Himalayan sea salt, and then I just pour that in. Oh, hang on, my dog wants to say hi. Hang on, he's a big baby. I gotta help him on the bed.
Okay. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. You'll have to get him one of those ladders, one of those doggy ladders, step ladders to get onto the bed.
I know. Yeah, he's a one.
That's great.
But yeah, so the good thing about my electrolytes I make is I make it out of tea, so I don't have that disgusting sports drink when it's hot, because it's inevitable. You're out in the sun for 10 minutes and all your ice is completely melted. So when I'm on the bike, it's basically like I'm drinking a warm tea or a hot tea.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, hey, this is normal. This is what it's supposed to be. That's fun. Yeah, and that's really helpful. I'm kind of excited about this.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And it's neat to see you have the success. And there are other athletes, endurance athletes who are plant-based. And, you know, it does take a little bit more knowledge because everyone, you know, we're so used to other things that we can eat. So that's neat to hear you have that success. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're getting close here. I want to walk back a little bit more, and I want to ask you, what do you feel have been your biggest achievements, either in cycling or triathlon, to date?
Well, definitely qualifying for the World Championship.
Yeah.
That's in. I always feel pretty good when I finish loaded jaw and get on the podium, because that's another one of those when you're like, oh, why am I doing this? The weird part is I love the training and I love the suffering. I can push myself really hard when I'm training. And then when I'm out in the race, I don't even enjoy being out there. It's really weird.
Wow.
But the last loaded jaw was probably like the biggest accomplishment I did, because it was 2 weeks after my 70.3.
Okay.
And
Wow.
so I wasn't recovered yet. And then I was and the race was at altitude and perfect 70 degrees. And then I went and did loaded jaw, and you go up to like over 8,000 feet at parts of the race. So I had no elevation training for the entire season. And then 2 weeks after 70.3, and I was already exhausted. And I remember 50 miles in, I was riding with Janie Bowen, who used to live here, but now she lives up in Salt Lake. She's a really good triathlete. But we were riding together, and I remember we were 50 miles in and going over the first big climb. And I'm like, whoa, like, I don't feel good. Like, I instantly got super nauseous and dizzy. Like, I had to slow down so I didn't fall off my bike.
Oh, wow.
Almost like an altitude
And so
sickness.
I'm like, oh my God. Lost the connection again. Ah! Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. 50 miles in, I had 150 more miles to go.
Wow.
And that was the hardest race I did, because I couldn't eat anything the rest of the day. I think I forced down a couple dates like a few hours after that.
No.
And for 150 miles, I wasn't eating anything. I was
Oh my goodness.
forcing myself to drink. But I remember I got to the last 25 miles and I stopped at one of the stops that one of the community ones, I forgot what they're called. Oh my God, he's playing with his toy now. So I stopped there, and I haven't had Coca-Cola since probably, I think it was in high school sometime, the last time I had Coca-Cola. And I stopped at that stop, and there was like all these little Pixie cups of Coke. And I remember looking at them, and I'm like, wow, that looks so good. So I took a shot of Coca-Cola, and it was like crack. And the next 25 miles, I was good to go.
Wow.
And I got that race.
Rocket fuel.
Yeah. And now I was like, okay, now I get the power of Coke.
That is a great achievement. So, but I'm really curious then, your endurance is just killer. Are you looking at doing a full Ironman?
I figure I'll probably do one someday, but
Yeah.
I'm not in a hurry.
Yeah, good. Well, that's good.
Just to do it. I actually won a free entry to any Ironman race in North America, so
Nice.
I'll probably use that for a full, just because they're more expensive.
How did you win that?
On Instagram, I won a giveaway. It was the Amp Human Ironman Spring Training Sweepstakes.
Okay.
So I won a nice little prize package. I got the Ventum Z bike, a Roca Maverick X2 wetsuit, a year's supply of Amp Human, and an entry into the Ironman race.
I remember that. I remember you posting that. Yeah. How cool.
That's great. That's a great prize. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's pretty good. Power of social media. That's why I always tell people, you just build your personal brand. Always post on Instagram and start your YouTube channel.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, hey, I won a goo packet once, and here you are. You won a wetsuit and a bike and an Ironman entry. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we are getting close, and this would be a good time. Social media. You have your YouTube channel. Do you want to give a plug?
Yeah, of course. I go by I'm Terri B. So you can go on YouTube. I just like, it's fun. I try to give some value to anybody who subscribes to me. And I do challenge myself to these crazy challenges just to for the wow factor. Yeah, just
Cool.
it's like a full-time job, to be completely honest. I guess the last video, cumulative, I spent over 50 hours to get that one done.
Wow.
Well, that's including the riding my bike 522 miles.
Wow. We'll check it out. I'm sure a lot of people will.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it is a lot of work. So, and I know you put a lot of work into that. So that's great. Well, Terri, this has been great to chat with you and hear your endurance achievements and some of the challenges along the way. And it's really impressive what you've done in such a short period of time. And you know, I know you say you don't enjoy it, but man, I tell you, when you
You're smiling quite a bit here.
I
yes.
know that's it. You know, there's got to be some enjoyment in there because you're doing great. So,
Yeah.
so congratulations on that, and thanks for coming on and talking with us.
Oh,
Yeah,
my pleasure.
thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks everybody. I'm going to stop the live stream, and I'm going to stop the recording.